Oh yeah, baby. Green back and have one more of these. 111 milligrams worth. I had a whole bunch today. It's now 6:52 p.m. January 10th, the year 2021. My life is so effed. It's so unfair, but I'm going to keep fighting. I'm not going to give up. Okay. I gotta go. I'm gonna fucking. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop this video. Is what I'm gonna do. I gotta go pee. I'm gonna go take a break. So thanks for hanging out with me on a live again 420. I'm also gonna go put this in the fridge. Maybe grab something to eat. I don't know, but I'll be back in a little while, my friends. So burp on to the future. Right on, babies. Burp on till the break of dawn. Come on, come on, come on, come on. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna grab some of these gushers. Taking with me. Oh, I'm gonna go put this in the fridge. And again, I'm wrapping this one up. Well, you know what? I'll be back in a second. I'm gonna go take a look at something. No reason for me to wrap it up yet because I'm trying to get as much of my real life on here, and this is part of my real life. Like, I gotta go put this in the fridge, and I gotta, just get things arranged, and so much other shit like that. Okay. Okay. Am I still taping? Am I still taping? I have no clue. Probably not. Oh, yeah, I am. I am still taping. I want to say something about my lawsuit. You know, it ultimately comes down to the lawsuit is just going to be based on the attorney telling me my brother was not allowed to come back in because he had been evicted for life. And I want to see the paperwork that supports that. And if that's the truth, then the fact that I finally figured out that my brother was, our privacy was invaded. And that totally just blows your case out of the fucking water, man. It's like you can't invade someone's privacy and then get away with evicting them for life. Especially when I don't think the eviction was for life. That's why I want to see that paperwork. But my case will all be based on that. It'll really be based on that. And everything else that's happened over the last 15 years, that's just all to support how horrible you've been. You know, and statute of limitations won't matter. Granted, maybe there are statute of limitations on everything, but I want everything to be known. I want everything to be known that you sold me a broken house with a warranty, a 1-year warranty that you did not honor. I came to you 3 times with my father. 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, and you didn't honor the warranty. You said you would. And see, that's what's the bullshit thing about it. And your attorney's saying, you know, that it's our responsibility, and you guys had no responsibility to do with that. Well, then if that's the case, then how come you said you'd take care of it the first time and the second time, And then the third time you apologized for it having expired and said, "Oh, I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do. I'm so sorry, gentlemen. But it expired 10 days ago, and you brought the warranty out and our lease out and showed it to us." Well, why would you fucking do all that shit if you weren't assuming responsibility for handling you getting the problem fixed under the warranty? You assumed made us assume, or whatever the term is, but you made us feel. My father and I both feel like you were taking care of it, and it was something that you had to do. You didn't even give us the option of handling it ourselves. It's like, and those damn round decorative plates that belong over the windows, the two front windows. It took way more than a year to get those installed, and you even had them for about 3 or 4 months on property, on premises, before you actually finally installed them, painted them, installed them, and you did a horrible job painting them. It's just every little aspect of the entire experience from the first day. You didn't give us a pool key the first day, and you apologized for it big time. Okay, fine, but you said you'd get it to us, soon. You didn't say how soon. You said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll head to Home Depot, get a copy for that for you guys real soon." So then we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and we thought like 3 or 4 days, and we wanted to swim. We're doing all this work on unloading furniture into the house and breaking our working up a serious sweat. It would have been so nice to be able to just celebrate a hard day's work and of course take a quick shower and then jump in the pool and then stretch and get some exercise, because I used to love to swim. And that's another thing you stole from me. Another thing you stole out of my life is my ability to exercise and even my ability to swim. And my treadmill, I wasn't able to use. I had lost so much weight. After all the damn weight I gained almost 150 pounds after the trip and fall on that rebar spike. The rebar spike that you promised to remove 5 different times, 3 different managers. Over 8 years, I come to you year after year. Well, not every single year. 5 times in 8 years, so I can't say year after year. But it just seems like it's year after year. Because you know what? I came to you year after year about lots of things. The pool key being the number one thing. 8 times. It took 8 years, 8 requests, 4 different managers to finally get a copy of a damn copy of a pool key. Like a $2 pool key, which we were entitled to from the first day. And your manager, Jim, promised we'd get one. Well, we were supposed to get one the first day, but he promised we'd get one soon. And then we didn't get one, so we come back to him about a month later or so, and we remind him that we haven't got the key yet, and he apologizes big time, and he says, "Oh, he's definitely get us one." And then we still didn't get one. So, here it is. The first 2 months we're supposed to get a pool key twice, and we don't get one. And then the whole fucking year goes by, and it would have been nice to have a pool key, but our house is also falling apart because it was given to us broken, and that's a whole nother layer of the story. See, it's very important that anyone listening to this, judge or jury, or whoever's watching this right now, it's absolutely important that you understand that my entire life was shredded and destroyed and dismantled, piece by piece by piece. Like again, I used the analogy a little earlier, and it's perfect. I was like an insect, any kind of insect, just trapped, in a spider's web, and it's just, and they're just, the spider is just piece by piece, just taking parts of my body off, and then just ruining my life piece by piece, taking my fiance out of my life eventually, but for many years taking my brother out of my life when I'm supposed to be looking after him and taking care of him. And he's mentally challenged and physically disabled, and you set up the scenario that allowed that to happen in the first place. It's so unbelievable. He would have never been spotted had you not poured that hill of river rock to cover up the rebar spikes, that were part of the foundation of the single-family residence that was probably there many years ago and probably got demolished and pulled out, except the foundation base remained, all the concrete and all, shards of concrete and blocks of concrete and broken glass and rebar spikes, just gnarly trees, they're 3-4 feet high, and it's like gnarly and rusted with splotches of paint, and there's garbage and trash everywhere because people just look at it, kind of is just that's just the dump spot of the park, and it's like right across the street. And for the first 3 years we lived in the park, and you know how nice our home is. You can't deny it, Jim, or any manager of the manufactured home park or the owner of the company, whatever. I went way out of my way to try to make our home look as nice as possible, and that's with everything going against me, and you making it very difficult for me by number one evicting my brother unfairly, and you caused it to happen, so I should sue you for that. And you know what? I can prove that um, through science and math that it would have been possible for my brother to have been spotted by the people across the street had they not been on that hill, which your park poured only to save, some time and save some money as a quick fix, quick solution. How do we get this couple from Kansas City to rent from us? They're willing to pay $600 a month. They can't find a spot anywhere at the moment in the San Diego area, and their son lives here in this area, and they're willing to pay us $600 a month or whatever, but they're not going to rent from us the way that lot looks, and they wouldn't have, for sure they wouldn't have. For God's sakes, it looked like hell. It looked like I don't think. I wish I had pictures of it. I wish I had pictures of it. I swear to God, it's like it would be amazing, for the history books, but but that's not the point. The point is, that your quick fix raised that RV, which was an old school Class A, 90s RV with really high back windows, giving the couple the perfect perspective to look straight down into my brother's bedroom, where, what, the current house right now that's across the street from us, that's the same level as our house, the world's tallest person could be standing anywhere in that house, in any room of that house. They would not be able to see my brother masturbating in his room for where he was masturbating. It would be impossible. And I would say the same about standing anywhere on the entire street in front of our home. So the entire street or the entire any building across from us, impossible to see into my brother's bedroom. Impossible. And I can show it with math and science. And 100% show it with math and science. And that right there shows the fact that you elevated that home, whatever it was, 5 or 6 feet higher than it should have been, without thinking that there could be dire consequences, and then you end up punishing my family for it. And see, the thing that angers me about it is my brother is mentally challenged and physically disabled, and he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't being a pervert, or an exhibitionist, and that's how your manager has tried to paint it, because that's just he has a sick, twisted mind. He's trying to paint it that way, and the reason he thinks that, and I can understand why he would almost picture it this way, is because here it is, my brother is like every day, probably like same time in the afternoon, gets horny, and he works all day at Henry's Market. It's the place he was working at. They don't exist anymore. I'm not going to say what they became, because I'm talking about masturbation, and I don't want to embarrass the company by having a masturbation story linked to their product, even though there's nothing wrong with masturbation. And Dr. Lindsay Doe, I want to say hello to you. You're one of the most beautiful women in the entire universe. One of the sexiest, brightest, most intelligent, funnest. There's just something about you. And, I'm in love with the sweetheart of my life, even though we are not together at the moment because we've had some issues because of the manufactured home park, destruction, my story, Decade of Destruction, blah, blah, blah. I talk about it a lot here on my channel. And I think about you a lot, Dr. Lindsay. There's something magical about you. That's a weird thing to say, and I don't know what it is. The very, 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 very first video I saw of yours, I didn't really even realize you were a doctor, because it just seemed like such a casual presentation, and it might have said doctor on this, subtitle underneath the video or whatever, but I wasn't paying attention to that. And it's like wow, this woman's amazing, and it's like I fell in love with you, and that's a really weird thing to say, and I don't know you, but I feel like I know you, and it's like I would love to know you, that's for sure. And I'm not even talking about sexually, even though that would be cool someday maybe, but it's just there's something cool about you. You're like a really groovy chick, and you just the way you think and the way you talk. and the way you laugh and the way you react and just the way you are. There's just something very powerful about you, and that's another cool thing about you. I like your strength and your power, and I say right on, Doc. It's a pleasure to know you, even though I'll never probably get to actually know you, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Greenweaver is going to drift back into the distance and then wrap this episode up by saying thank you for hanging out with me on a Live Again 420. It's been a pleasure. I think I'm going to go grab something to eat and sit and maybe chat a little more and figure out what I'm going to do. A couple of the videos I made today, and I'm starting to realize, yeah, you know, they're pretty good, man. Pretty good. I hope they're going to be helpful to me, you know, because my life is so destroyed and it's so unfair. And it's like what makes me the most upset is that I truly had an amazingly happy life. And I made a lot of sacrifices, and I still had a happy life. But I made these sacrifices, you know, with the main intent of being able to look after my brother for the rest of his life. And that includes not, you know, my marriage was affected big time by my brother, my caring about my brother way more than my marriage. And my wife at the time, we're still really good friends, you know, except, you know, I don't want her to feel bad, you know, about her not being able to help me. I need help, and I was hoping that she'd be able to help me out somehow, you know, and if she knew just what had truly happened to me, and maybe she could help me, maybe get a lawyer that can help me, you know, because I've been treated so incredibly unfairly, and it's been truly life devastating. It's like I'm not the same person I used to be, not even close, and it's making me want, you know, it's like I'm starting to feel suicidal again, you know, and it's been, you know, the last 7 years, like around the holiday time, every year I get these really dark feelings, you know, and I've never had them in my entire life until the last 7 years or so. But it's just the last 7 years have been rough and so unfairly rough. And not just one unfair thing, but unfair thing on top of unfair thing on top of unfair thing, and each unfair thing on top of each unfair thing not being resolved, being ignored year after year after year, and just me just being a kind and gracious person and not wanting to cause more problems for myself, you know, by pursuing legal action, you know, and thinking that, you know, it's like, you know, one of these days my brother can get, you know, be allowed back in, you know, and then maybe I can get my life back on track, you know, but it's just the things they've done to me to make my life so impossible to live, so impossible to be truly happy. And they've affected every aspect of my life, physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, financially, for everything from my credit, you know, has been totally destroyed to now as with an eviction, you know, that's just another ugly thing on my record, which shouldn't be there at all, should not be there at all, because they just destroyed my life. It's just a super destructive force of just terrible thing after terrible thing after terrible thing without ever letting up, and then just ignoring each terrible thing. I come to them over and over, and it's like I was afraid a lot of times towards the, you know, the end, before they finally broke me. It's like I was afraid that they were gonna, you know, just that they were trying to get rid of me, you know. So I was just trying to lay low and try not to stir the kettle, and try not to cause trouble. That's how scared I've been for at least the past 7 years. You know, it's like ever since my trip and fall, and then ignoring my 2 letters about what do I do now that I've tripped and fell and now that I can barely walk. Ever since they ignored that, you know, and it's like, and I've been hobbling around, and it's like my life has been ruined since that trip and fall accident. You know, and it's like now my kidneys have been destroyed because of all the pain and all the insomnia that I've lived with for years. It's like the fact that they just repeatedly ignored me, and thank God I have witnesses on a lot of things. I have a witness that saw me ask Jim the 3rd time, and he didn't know it was the 3rd time, you know, but Jim knows it's the 3rd time. And does Jim want to deny? I want to know if Jim wants to deny in court, take a lie detector test regarding the rebar spike Did I ever ask for the rebar spike to be removed, Jim? Do you remember that rebar spike? Did I ever ask you to remove it? Yes or no? If you can you deny? I know it was 3 times, but that doesn't matter. Even if it's just one time, that's enough. And did I ask you at least one time? I want to see what you say in court. And your negligence, just all added up, has been very destructive to so many elements of my life. You know, it's insane. It's absolutely motherfucking insane. It's like I don't know what else to say. It's like I'm glad I'm finally relieving some of my frustration and revealing some of the truth about the horrible things that have happened to me. You know, over the last decade, or actually it's been 15 years of suffering. A decade of destruction, a dozen years of demise, 15 years of misery. That's the title. And it's a true story, and it's my story. And it happens to be featured on my website, known as Alive Again 420, aliveagain420.com, on the homepage of aliveagain420.com. Please click on the pot cave to enter a whole bunch of dimensions. You're going to see 3 doorways, a good, bad, and ugly dimension doorway. Enter the one to the ugly dimension, and that's where you'll find my story entitled Decade of Destruction. And more dimensions will be added in the near future. It's just I'm starting off with the most 3 basic dimensions I could think of. But the 0 dimension, the groovy dimension, the trippy dimension, the 420 dimension. Did I say the groovy dimension already? The wicked dimension, the 420 dimension, the 710 dimension. There'll be all these dimensions, and they'll all have different purposes. And there'll be legit purposes and legit reasons for these dimensions, you know, in the kind of content you'll find within each dimension, you know, literally. So there'll be a sexy dimension, there'll be a fun dimension, you know. So what kind of mood are you in? And it's like when you're high, and you want to like explore different moods, then you go to that dimension, and that dimension is where you can get immersed in the kind of mood you want to experience. Whether it's a video you're watching of me tripping, or other people that might be hanging with me tripping, or or a song, you know, or some poetry, or maybe some art. Yeah, and in the bad dimension, actually that'll open up the 3 hallways. A hallway to a sad dimension, a hallway to a badass dimension, and a hallway to a naughty dimension. So bad doesn't mean the opposite of good. Bad is just a different dimension than the good dimension, where things inside the good dimension are good, but things inside the bad dimension aren't necessarily bad. They're just pathways to versions of badness, whether you're being a badass or whether you're being a little sexy or naughty, you know, or whether you're, there's also the bad of being sad, you know, or sad stories or tragic stories, and, you know, and everything else, and hopefully there won't be very much stuff in the ugly dimension. But see, that's where ugly stories go, you know, horrible stories. And, you know, I don't want those many kind of stories ever on Alive Again 420 or on any website. But I do want my story to be shared, you know. And it's like I would love it if my friend Jimmy Kimmel just gave me a shout out and just let people know about my website, you know. And it's like originally I was thinking, you know, I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Kimmel Live, and everyone from Guillermo to Cleto and the Cletones. Hang on a second. Let me get some pleasure to eat. But I'm just a huge fan of the show. Jimmy's super funny, man. Got great wit. He's quick. And I know they do rehearsals on some of the stuff, but I can tell a lot of times. I can tell what's rehearsed and what's not rehearsed. And there's a lot of stuff I know is not rehearsed that's absolutely just wow. And he came up with that like instantly. You know, and that's because he pays attention to his guests. You know, as he interviews them, and he remembers everything they say, and he draws upon that. And he's really good at that. He's probably the best at that. Even better than Letterman. Ben Letterman's probably the best. I've been talking about that a lot lately because I'm a huge fan of David Letterman, but I was starting to get the feeling that Jimmy Kimmel was starting to surpass David Letterman, and I kind of feel that way in a way because I'm talking about for right now, man. The last especially the last 10 years or so, even though they've been a terrible 10 years for me, with my life being destroyed, the Jimmy Kimmel program, Jimmy Kimmel Live, has kept me alive again and again and again. Oh, that's a wicked coincidence. My channel name, which I came up with a couple, like about a year ago, Alive Again 420, because marijuana 420 does make me feel alive again. When I'm high, I'm high right now on edibles. It's not even feeling high. It's feeling alive again. I used to feel this way in my teens, my 20s, and my 30s, and a lot of my 40s until my life started getting shredded by the damn jerk park in my storied decade of destruction. Fuck, man, I've been so screwed. But I swear to God, right now, when I think positive thoughts, it reminds me, God, this is the way I used to feel without marijuana. Because remember my story, and it's not a story like a made-up story, it's a true story. I've only been smoking marijuana for about 28 months as of early January 2021. I started smoking marijuana September 21st of the year 2018, and that's been it for me. Anyway, I'm done for this episode, babies. Peace, love, happiness, and happiness. Stay high, stay cool, stay kind, stay woke. Black Lives Matter ain't no joke. Become an anti-racist. Believe in the power of positivity, my friends. And I'll see you next time right here. Subscribe on my YouTube and YouTube channel, Alive Again 420. Oh, yeah.